Um, I first want to thank each and every one of you for attending today's panel. Very important, very informative. Before I introduce the panel, I would first like to thank the people who invested time and energy to make this event happen. In order to make these events possible, people need to sacrifice a bit of themselves, invest a bit of their energy, a bit of their time, and I think that's very noble. And I commend these women for doing the same for a larger movement. So I'll be introducing Mujeres en Liderazgo. They're an organization that emerged organically out of the White House Neighborhood Center in South Minneapolis. And they have been doing amazing things in their community as well as throughout the city. The organization, the program was founded in 2008 when women began to meet at White House, began to address issues that were relevant to the undocumented, began to address issues that were relevant for immigrant families as well. And they have successfully mobilized the movement, grassroots. They successfully have pushed policy to change some of the policies in Minneapolis. They have generated a movement to acquire a municipal ID in Minneapolis. They have also changed policy to help the undocumented secure driver's license. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you and help me welcoming Mujeres en Liderazgo.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Alicia Rainey. I'm the Civic Engagement Coordinator at White House, and I've worked with the Mujeres en Liderazgo program and my splendid team here since about 2008. We started looking at this program in about 2007, and before I just jump in right there, I just wanted to give you guys some sort of context in our discussion today. We hope to share with you sort of how we've put together our program and then how we've been able to sort of move forward working with some of the members within our program on issues that are important to the Latino immigrant community. So prior to me coming on, I started working at White House in 2007. Prior to that, both Jovita and Maria, who are today at the panel, they were working in a sort of a arts and crafts / well-being group called Latinas Creativas, and they had been doing some trainings and generally supporting each other in terms of well-being. But they had approached the director, Francisco Segovia, during this process and saying, we want something more direct. We want to actually think about our leadership and build our leadership within our community so that we can affect change. And I say that because it's really important that you guys know that this idea didn't just come from me, or it didn't just come from Francisco, our director, but it came from the sort of the grassroots base from the beginning. Francisco later asked me if I'd be interested in writing a grant to help us generate some sort of leadership development program, and I agreed to do that. And he also asked me to help sort of put together a structure in terms of what this program would look like. And so we started out with sort of doing some focus groups with some of the women who were the potential candidates for the program, who would be interested in developing their leadership. In those focus groups, we asked them, what is it? How do you define leadership? How is leadership important to you? What does that look like as a Latina mother, as a resident here in Minneapolis, in the Phillips community? How do you define that? What are and they gave us general responses in terms of, a leader is someone who is a leader within their family, and that's a key component, I think, that you would get from any one of the women who are consider themselves members of Mujeres en Liderazgo, is their family is first. And then a leader is also someone who has the ability to create real changes in their community and create that and affect policies and ensure that their voice is heard. And we also asked them what are some of the barriers that would keep you from participating in the family, and the number one barrier is childcare. That's always the first question, is like, so will there be childcare? You know, if I had enough time for this event, that was a barrier for us to invite some of the women for this event. It's like, will there be childcare? Will there be interpretation? And so those are key barriers and something that we took account of. And then also within sort of that background structure, we also formed together a consulting team of leaders within the community. We specifically selected women, all women, and women who we knew who had were either a voice as an ally in the immigrant movement, or were identified themselves as Latin immigrant and were leaders already within that community. And we asked them to help us sort of look at, so this is the feedback that we got from the focus group, and how do we really put together like a program? What would that look like? And they helped us formulate sort of a curriculum. We also borrowed curriculum from other Latina leadership development programs, one in particular in California. It's slipping from my mind at the moment. And from there, we sort of formulated a leadership development program. My role now has sort of switched gears. I'm mostly development, working on terms of writing grants to help fund the continuation of this program, and supporting the group in those sort of technical ways. So I want to pass it along to the much more interesting and fun stuff of what exactly has been happening within each component of our program. And so we'll start out with Maria Cisneros, who's the leadership coordinator, and she's facilitated all of our leadership development workshops since 2008. And I'll be translating for her too. So it'll be a slower conversation, but we ask your patience, it'll be great.
Buenas tardes a todos, gracias por venir, es un placer estar con ustedes.
Thank you for coming, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be with you all.
Mi nombre es María Cisneros, yo soy de un pueblito que se llama Francisco R. Murguía, Nieves, Zacatecas.
My name is Maria Cisneros, and I'm from a small community called Francisco Mario. Francisco Zacatecas. Sorry, I'm gonna have fun today translating. I have a really short-term memory.
Soy mamá de 6 hijos. Soy mamá de 6 niños, ya algunos en el colegio también, y estoy en White House desde el 2005. Estuve de voluntaria, después trabajando como, no era un trabajo, era un voluntariado de unas cuantas horas para educación de la comunidad, que era para dejar de fumar.
So I'm a mother of 6 children. Some of them are also just started in college, and I've been working with White House since 2005. I started out as a volunteer within a program to stop smoking cessation program.
Bueno, viendo la necesidad de que en el barrio Phillips, ahí donde estamos en White House, viendo diversidad de grupos, pero había grupo de mujeres latinas donde no había una voz y voto cómo acudir, empezamos a hacer el grupo de las latinas creativas.
So looking around the Phillips community, where White House is located in South Minneapolis, we were looking at what were sort of the needs of that community, and one of those was looking within the Latina, looking at Latino women in general, and seeing that they don't have a really strong voice nor vote in terms of what goes on within that community. And so we started a group, Latinas Creativas.
Viendo la necesidad de que aquí al llegar, al enfrentar muchas barreras, el idioma, el no saber acudir a algún, por ejemplo, algún recurso.
So they're looking at some of the needs within the community. Some of them were looking at all the barriers that new immigrants had when they were arriving, and not being able to access certain resources.
Ahí se hizo un grupo para ver a qué recursos, qué educación se podía dar, información, educación, pero también manualidades, arte, para que la mujer saliera de esa depresión, porque muchas de las veces al ser una mujer latina inmigrante es muy difícil inmigrar a otros países.
So for our group, we, in terms of the context of the women in the program who were facing a lot of them depression because of the isolation they were feeling as new immigrants into the community, we and also help provide greater access to education and resources in the community. We formed this group, and it also had a concentration also in terms of art and arts and crafts activities as well.
En el 2007 se decidió con Francisco, el director de Way House, Jovita, algo otras mujeres, que queríamos hacer cambios a petición, que queríamos que fuéramos mujeres escuchadas, que nuestra voz fuera escuchada.
And so in 2007 we were hoping to develop a stronger sense of leadership so that the women would have their voice heard, and that they would have a greater say in sort of the issues that were happening within the community.
En el 2008 empezamos el inicio de llevar un grupo de mujeres en liderazgo, más que nada para desarrollar entendimiento que era un liderazgo, las habilidades que tenía cada una de estas mujeres, el potencial que querían aprender y hacer cambios, no nada más para ellas mismas, sino también para su familia y la comunidad.
So in 2008 we started the Mujeres en Liderazgo Leadership Development Program to help provide a more sorry, los
y la necesidad que vimos era, por ejemplo, hubo otras líderes de la comunidad donde consultamos cómo podría llevarse esto a cabo.
So we wanted to see how we might be able to bring about this program, speaking with other leaders.
Para armar un currículo muy bueno donde viendo qué cambios podíamos hacer primero para la mujer, después para su familia y después para la comunidad.
And how do we build a curriculum that would first help women sort of develop themselves, firstly their person, and then also their family, and finally their community.
Viendo todos esos problemas que a veces estaba afectando desde uno mismo hasta lo demás mencionado.
And looking at all of the issues that they are confronting within their lives that we've already mentioned.
Decidimos hacer un entrenamiento para el grupo de mujeres en liderazgo de 6 meses, 10 mujeres.
So our training basically is a training of 6 months, and each training includes 10 women.
10 mujeres y son 13 talleres de información que son una herramienta muy grande para que las mujeres salgan con herramientas de esas habilidades que tienen, cómo ellas las puedan aplicar.
So they go through 13 different workshops throughout this training, and with an additional goal of how do these workshops then apply to their their personal life and work.
Y también ahí se dan 8 acciones comunitarias donde se hace después de la teoría, se hace la práctica.
And then after this theory, it's a really important part that they put into practice, that they work that they do. So they've included we include 8 community actions as part of the leadership development training.
Donde esta mujer se va desarrollando todas sus habilidades, va creciendo, va teniendo conexiones con la comunidad, con medios de comunicación.
And so through this, the woman is able to develop her capacities as a leader. They create connections with people in the media, or through different types of work with the media and through other leadership.
También cómo se pueden relacionar con el sistema político, porque muchas de estas mujeres no teníamos entendido, y lo digo en mi persona también, cómo estaba funcionando aquí en Estados Unidos el sistema político, porque es muy diferente al de nuestro país. Es algo parecido, pero es un poco diferente.
And another key component there is a discussion on the sort of political system. So what does the political system look like, and how does that act like here in the United States, and how do we directly interact with that as constituents within the program?
Después que estas mujeres salen con ese desarrollo personal, de ese desarrollo profesional, práctica y teoría de computación, cómo tener mejor, para ir a buscar mejor empleo con esta tecnología.
And in addition, with this practice and theory that is presented within this program, they also have a computer training so that women are learning technical skills and developing their sort of more professional skill set to be able to interact with the rest of the world.
Y después de eso ellas se gradúan y después de graduadas pasan a una mesa colectiva donde ahorita voy a pasar con mi compañera Jovita. Si tienen más preguntas, pues aquí vamos a estar, okay?
And so this is that's the leadership development component. After they graduate from this program, then the women move on to be a part of the Mesa Colectiva, where that's why I'm now going to pass it off over to Jovita, who's going to talk a little bit more about that component.
Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Bueno, yo primero quiero decir que voy a decir hola y voy a decir hi. ¿Cómo están? Hi.
Okay. Hi everybody, how are you? First I just want to say hello, how are you?
How about that? I'm Jovita and I'm from San Francisco del Rio, municipio de Ixtlahuaca, municipal Ixtlahuaca, state of Mexico. And I'm in a community, indigenous community there in that town. I'm gonna be speaking English, and if I'm gonna miss something, I'm gonna ask my compañera aquí to help me with this. How about that? And so I'm just thinking how to start. I'm sorry. I work at White House since 2005, and as Maria mentioned, that she is doing the training, the 6-month training with Las Mujeres, and once they finish it, the training, they pass in the Mesa Colectiva we call collective table, which does the goals that we're doing there. The goals of Mesa Colectiva is to all the participants to have pasos. Maybe I'm going to do this in Spanish. Que todos los participantes tenemos pasos para alcanzar las metas de cada una de ellas, desarrollando sus habilidades y fortalezas a través de las acciones
So our goals of the Mesa Colectiva is to work all together to develop goals as a team and also our individual abilities.
Y relacionadas con los proyectos que tenemos, y ya les voy a platicar cuáles son las campañas que estamos trabajando o los proyectos que estamos trabajando.
And using our abilities to work together on campaigns that we're developing in the community, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those campaigns.
Bueno, una es las licencias de conducir, la otra es ID municipal, medios, periodismo, talleres.
All right, so one of them is a driver's license campaign, another is ID municipal, or municipal ID. The other is medias and journalism.
Y también, sobre todo, las mujeres desarrollando sus habilidades en esta mesa colectiva a través de estos proyectos han evolucionado muchísimo, que no se puedan imaginar ustedes.
And so, we're working together to develop our skills as a group, and
that you can imagine how they evolucionado.
Oh, yeah, you can't imagine like how much the women have evolved in this process of working together towards common goals on their campaigns.
Mesa Colectiva, we're working on the campaign, the municipal ID, the city ID. Since we take the training, we didn't know about nothing in the legislation, how to pass a campaign or a propose in the legislation. In 2008, we we learned step by step how to pass the campaign in beginning, because I was like mom who just stay at home taking care of the kids, and that's all. I didn't know nothing, and White House was my opportunity to learn English or to practice my English that I learned at school. And once I finished that, after we finished the leadership training, we learned how to do flyers, which is beginning. We use computer, and then we was doing outreach in the community outside, asking people how to how this it was the important about the driver license to have in the community. And we see a lot of issues, but we choose this campaign because that's the most important that we need. And we asked Karen Clark to help us with a proposal, and also Patricia Torres Reyes, who is a Latina woman, but for one reason we just Karen Clark, we decided the main person to have to be the sponsor on this campaign. So she helped us a lot how to do in they call the green jacket and everything, and we was discussing a lot. We did a lot of we went to the Capitol to talk each one of the representatives, the Senate, and we didn't know how to speak English, but we take all the teams that we work with, and they was translator for us, and say this is the issue that is happening in our community. And now, beginning that on 2010, we passed the proposal in the representative, and we win in that part. And then we went to the Senate, but that part we didn't. We just put it in hold because we didn't have enough votes, and we decided just to put it in hold. But we still strategy in Mujeres al Liderazgo that right now we focus on, and then after that we just decide to focus on the city ID, the municipal ID, local level, because with that, well, until we're doing something here, we're gonna do local level and work and see how we're gonna minimize the issue that is happening day by day. But how we doing in the city ID, it's a multiple use for all residents who live in Minneapolis. It doesn't matter if you are undocumented or yes. So that this is how we was working. And each one of las mujeres right now, for instance, Sylvia, it's one of the mujeres was part of my team. Now she's developing any other group as, let's say, Maria, that she's taking, she's facilitating and have a group of women in a Corcora Park. And then another women that they develop the leadership in another location that she's trying to involve a lot of mujeres and to try to see how we're gonna do an issue. Most of they are doing different things, like the garden, sembrando tomates, maíces, etc. And other mujeres that we're working on La Mesa, they're having their own workshop. Like, for instance, one of the Susie, where she was having about self-esteem. Self-esteem, yeah, and she was working on this because everything is developed their own project and what they want to be shared with other community that they're having different situations. That's what we're working right now with us mujeres, but and that's at the same time we're learning, we doing the action, and there is the result. Plus the result, they're still doing a lot of activities, other ones, so we can duplicate a lot of mujeres doing a lot of things. And for instance, another leaders that they going, it's we apply for the media, and now they have we have a team that they're working on the media with Setul, one of the locutoras famosa, Gerania, is there. But I'm gonna pass my compañera Kate. She's gonna explain a little bit more acerca de the media team.
All right, thank you everybody. My name is Kate Prococo, and I actually started working with the Mujeres en Liderazgo in 2010 during the campaign with the driver's license. I got asked to come on temporarily to help out with some of the translation and work at the Capitol, and then we moved on and developed a media program. And I think one of the reasons that we saw the need for that was during our campaigns, we saw that sometimes our story wasn't represented very well by other media, and some of the messaging was wrong, even by people that were trying to be our allies. Some of the wording and things was not necessarily helpful to our campaign. So that was one of the reasons, and also the way that, and also just there's not a very good representation of Latino women in the media as spokespeople. And so for those reasons, we began to develop this. And also to build capacity with the women in the Mesa Colectiva. We're always looking for opportunities to people to have training and expertise in certain areas, and so this was an area of interest that we saw among our team. And so we started a 6-month media training course, and I didn't teach it. I'm not really an expert in medias, but I brought in different media resources in the Twin Cities. So people are doing media, doing small local grassroots work that could come and do some mini trainings for the women over a 6-month period. So there were 5 women that participated, and we did kind of mini workshops on various topics like blogging and computer skills and radio, video filming, photojournalism, journalism, kind of a little sampler, a lot of stuff, a lot to take in 6 months. And so 5 women came every Saturday, and we worked on these skills. They'll develop their own personal projects, and then at the end, at the end of the program, us together with members of Say Tool, who presented earlier this morning, we submitted a proposal for our own radio show on a local radio station, KFAI in the Twin Cities, and their proposal was chosen. And so now 3 of the members of the media program and 2 of the members of the Center for Workers United Struggle are the hosts and engineer for the program. So that's been a huge success, something that came out of that training and continues to develop leaders. And then, and so now, one of the conversations we've been having for about a year, I think, is the dream of having our own, of the women developing their own newspaper. So members of the Mesa Colectiva developing a newspaper to tell their stories, to talk about what's going on in their community, sharing their perspective on all the issues. Because again, a lot of times those voices aren't represented in our media. And so I'm currently looking for resources to do that. So if anyone knows of anyone that can teach journalism in Spanish, come talk to me. And we're gonna be offering, another 6-month training to the women in our group to build those skills, build that leadership, and to have a women's voice, Latino voice in the local media in Minneapolis. And so that's it. And then I'm just gonna show a short video of a video that I made during the media training that was really powerful to me. It's the 4 of the women that participated talking about their experience in Mujeres en Liderazgo and in the leadership training and in the media training, and how the impact has been on their life. So it's just a 5-minute thing that I'm just going to quick put on. So thank you.
Once Kate preparing the technology, I'm gonna say that other mujeres that are doing this, how they're developing their leadership, is starting the school and making change. Oh, they need my secret. So they starting changing at school. So means that many of the parents, once they taking a leadership training, and they've been involved a lot in at school for the children. So, let's see. Maybe I should move my head, right?
I don't know if the lights can move. Do the lights a little bit? It's a little crooked.
So I hope you guys get a good sense of what the point of this program is. We really try to bring in women who might not have connections and resources and build their capacity to either be an integral part of one of our campaigns through the Mesa Colectiva, or we work with them individually in terms of developing their own dreams. So as they've mentioned before, some of the women go in and start their own groups, some of them go back to school, some of them get super engaged and really excited about one of the campaigns or maybe one of the media projects that they're working on. And it kind of goes from there. We don't do a one-stop shop. It's not just like a come in and come out type of leadership development program. It's kind of more of like it's very holistic and very sort of with the opportunity for the women to follow them until there's, I guess no more funding for a program staff to support them. But we try to keep an open door policy, and we will literally work with that woman as long as it needs so she can accomplish her goals and dreams. And I think that's one of the great rewards of this program. And I think too, I can't emphasize enough like what the impact of having this community action and being able to be engaged with the community. I think Jovita or Maria would both tell you one of the big things that motivates the women is being in action and having that opportunity to be a lead role, and whether they're talking to a city council member or whether they're talking to a politician. I think that's something that motivates them and energizes them to stay involved.
Sorry, we lost our connection, so we had to start over. So.
Oh no.
We're almost there.
Is there, while we get the video, is there any questions? What woman in the back?
I just wanted to comment. She mentioned a very powerful woman in the one that is getting things done up at the Capitol. Her name is Patricia Torres Rey. But she's not just Patricia Torres Rey. She's a senator, and there's only 2 Latino legislators that we all need to know. And one is Senator Patricia Torres Rey, and the other one is Carlos Mariani in the House of Representatives. And by the way, they are the only 2 bilingual people in the Capitol, and we need to change that.
Sorry, I wasn't sure how to upload that.
Yeah, that's true. You mentioned something that it's really important for everyone. Patricia Torres Rey, yes, is a senator, and Carlos Mariani is it's a Latino too. So they're, and both of them, they're supporting the driver license campaign. So, and a lot of people like what else? Scott Devil and let's see, Bobby Champion. A lot of the people there that we went there and they're supporting.
¿Nos puedes hablar un poquito más de la ID municipal? ¿Qué es y por qué es importante?
Yeah, the city ID is for us. We, as beginning at the same as the driver license, we went to outside in the community to talk to them and see what's the issue that it's happening and why we need an ID. The reason that we're doing the city ID is because we want to create something new. We want to create something that it's one card that you can use for multiple uses for everyone. And that will be including a lot of people who are the level that it's we can do by classes, over here and here and here. So we want to be all together in this in one. So something that we see, like people who live in a shelter or people who have a low income and they don't have. So this ID is a multiple use to if they can have. We are tracking a lot of businesses that they can be part of it and they can offer any discount for the community. The other one is we try to talk with the library and see they can use the same ID, like the password on the trying to save the money too, because they can the community, they can use the same in the library. They don't how to say that. I'm just thinking the English. My English is the third language that I have. My native language is Masawa, and then Spanish, and then English. And so I'm just trying to say, do you want to help me with that?
Yeah, I think in terms of the ideas is a multi-use language or a multi-use card that would help sort of build a sense of connectiveness to Minneapolis. there's a lot of people within Minneapolis, across Minnesota, that don't have access to a valid ID, and that causes a number of forms of discrimination. Whether you're, if there's a school shutdown, which happened about a year ago in Minneapolis, and you needed to have an ID to get your child out of school, whether you get pulled over by a patrol on the highway and you don't have whether you want to. For women who are confronting domestic violence and don't feel quite comfortable calling the police, because that first question that the police officer will ask is, "Can I see your ID?" Regardless of whether or not you are the victim of that crime or not. And like Jovita was saying, it's not just an immigrant problem. There's people who might have who are very, very low income or are in transitional housing, or maybe lost everything and or for whatever reason don't have the same easy access to a driver's license or to a traditional state ID. This would be a universal card for all of Minneapolis, and that would enable sort of people to gain access to resources, and adding on different other, like the library, having it being a library card, providing discounts to local businesses. This would help create more of a self-identity for Minneapolis, and also making sure that this isn't just some sort of immigrant ID. So that was really, really important to the folks. And a similar municipal ID has also been passed in other cities like Oakland, California. Oakland, California, there's been one in New Jersey.
Is it Utah one similar?
Oh, Utah? We haven't heard anything.
There's something as a state, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything for Utah. But I hope that answered the question. Maybe we can, quizás podemos, sí, no continuar con preguntas nada más. Are there more questions? Yes.
Voy a hablar en español, perdón en español. ¿Hay una tradición en tu pueblo, en México, como tener proyectos como White House? Y si no, ¿pueden comparar la situación en tu pueblo comparado con Minneapolis en términos cultural, económico y político para explicar esas diferencias? ¿Por qué hay necesidad para un White House aquí, pero si no hay necesidad en tu pueblo? Sorry, I was wrong.
No, está bien. Yo creo que es.
Let me say it in English. I'm asking if there's a tradition in their homeland or their pueblo, their village, with projects like White House, where women gather together, or community members gather together, and if yes or no, if they can compare the situation there economically, politically, and culturally, forgive me, because it's just our culture, with Minneapolis, to explain why there may be reasons for it here and not there, or why there's reasons for it both places.
You know what, I'm not sure if I can answer your exactly question, but I came to the USA when I have between 15, 16 years old. I used to work in agricultura with my mom and my papa, and I was really I was working in a factory there, and once my parents decided to negotiate with my tia and bring me over here, I didn't know that USA, it was totally different, that I couldn't understand what they were saying to me or asking to me, so it's totally different. But and here in Minneapolis, at AC, you can, once I learned the English and learned my right as a woman, that it's the difference in Mexico, that it's been changing, I think. The domestic violence in Mexico, for instance, especially for indigenous, we don't have any voice there. A lot of people who are rich, they really, how they say this, they have money and they put you down in here instead of be equally in that part, and I see a lot of injustice there, and I'm just thinking here that how we gonna make change. And once White House give me the opportunity to learn, to have this kind of workshop, I think it's really, really helpful to have this workshop, because once you have the training and then do the action at the same time, that's a really power that you can make change in the community. But unfortunately, I don't know if I answered your questions or not.
Sí, una de las diferencias muy grandes que hay, por ejemplo, en mi país, por ejemplo, allá si tienes un título, tienes un buen trabajo.
So one of the big differences that I see in my country compared to here is if in my country, if you have a degree, then you have a good job.
Y la otra diferencia es de que, por ejemplo, aquí hay un poco más de oportunidades para conseguir un trabajo. Claro que también hay a veces abusos en el trabajo, pero tenemos la oportunidad de buscar. Y allá no, si no tienes un título, no tienes un buen trabajo y no puedes salir adelante con tu familia.
And so here, there's a little bit more opportunities to be able to find a job. Maybe, yeah, there's obvious abuses and situations where people are taking advantage of you, but at least here there are some opportunities to find a job.
Y otro ejemplo, por ejemplo, es también es nosotros de los pueblitos culturales donde trabajamos, por ejemplo, ahorita si por el Tratado de Libre Comercio, si no hubiera habido ese Tratado de Libre Comercio con Canadá y México, no estuviéramos aquí mucha gente, porque ese es el gran problema también, de que estamos acá porque nos brindan la oportunidad y allá al quitarnos la oportunidad que se tenía de la siembra del maíz, con lo que podríamos sobrevivir.
And another big issue is with the free trade agreement that is currently in place that disproportionately affects my country, and then many of us wouldn't be here today if there wasn't this free trade agreement that drastically impacts those who grow corn in my country.
Y no fue afectado nada más mi país, también aquí, por ejemplo, los granjeros de aquí de Estados Unidos.
And it wasn't just in my country either. There was a huge impact for farmers as well within the U.S.
A pesar de que ustedes saben bien el problema que hubo sobre el problema de la NASA, entonces acá la mayoría de las personas que no tienen ni concepto de cómo ustedes han sido afectados, ¿podría de todas maneras explicarnos, aunque sea en pequeña breve parte, cómo fue a nivel de ustedes, a nivel de los trabajadores, cómo han sido afectados?
Bueno,
Can you say that in English, please?
I just mentioned that perhaps they are quite acquainted with the problem of how NAFTA agreement has affected their livelihood and at the people level, not just at the governmental level. And so I asked her for specific examples on how they were affected. Not just, yeah, we were affected. I would like to know some specific examples.
bueno, un ejemplo es yo misma, porque estoy aquí por esa razón, de que nosotros vivíamos por la cosecha temporal, lo que sembrábamos, y lo podíamos negociar con las corporaciones de otros pueblos a que nos pagaran un poco más por el trabajo. Entonces,
So one big example I can give is myself, who was directly impacted on here today because of this free trade agreement. Before the free trade agreement, I was able. Our family is. We were able to negotiate directly with the other corporations within the town and get a good price for the food that we were growing.
cuando entra el Tratado de Libre Comercio ya no se podía negociar porque de acá ya era más barato el maíz.
And when the free trade agreement came into effect, we were no longer able to negotiate because of the price of the corn dropped so dramatically.
Entonces ya la gente de lo que gastaba, porque allá era puro orgánico, puro con caballos, mula, como se podía sembrar, y todo para, entonces ahorita las corporaciones están metiendo demasiados químicos donde nosotros estamos siendo también afectados.
And we were growing organically. We were using, our horses and plows to be able to grow our food. And the other corporations that were coming in were using all chemicals, and so we weren't able to compete with that.
Y otro ejemplo es, por ejemplo, ya ellos no podían negociar y no nada más mi familia se vino para emigrar a otros países, muchos de ellos. La mayoría que nos estábamos quedando eran las mujeres, pero al ver también que no podíamos sobresalir adelante, tuvimos que poder emigrar. Entonces ese es lo que afecta no nada más a mi comunidad, a muchas comunidades de México.
And this wasn't just my family or just my community that was impacted. It's many families, it's many communities across Mexico, and we need to be able to survive. And so we look to other countries and other places in order to make sure our family can get by.
Y pues aquí la diferencia es de que hay una oportunidad porque con las habilidades o las experiencias vividas que tenemos como mujeres nos abren las puertas. Como White House, yo estoy muy agradecida, es que a ver mi potencial o mis habilidades me dieron la oportunidad de estar ahí para entrenar otras mujeres y cómo podamos hacer que nuestra voz sea escuchada, que también tenemos derecho, no importa que no seamos de aquí.
And then, so here it's a huge difference because here we have our, you know, I'm very thankful to be able to have the opportunity to be able to work at White House, and that I was able to recognize some of the potentials that I carried, and to be able to also take that privilege and be able to train other women who come from similar countries and experiences of me, and be able to move forward. Are there other questions? You first.
So creativity is many things. Art, singing, dance. You started with that a little bit, and how do you continue that? How do you keep that creativity in the programs you do?
Well, with the campaigns, I think the campaign that we do in the city ID, the municipal ID, we call I Am Minneapolis, because I am Minneapolis, and that's it. Driver license campaign, and that's for everyone. We're trying to pass a law, but now as I mentioned, it's a little bit slow. We know that in the legislation, we have many people, Republican people there, so it's gonna be hard. We have to have the whole community to support in this, otherwise we're not gonna win. I think that's part of the Setu was mentioned in this morning, that we have to be unified, everyone is the one. And the other project that they do, and that I mentioned, a lot of women they focus on different things, that they have the workshop, and there are the good things that we did all together as the women, Latinas. We have a network already, like connection with a lot of organization, a lot of community, a lot of people who work in the legislation too. So that's part of, I call el poder de tener la habilidad de tener esas conexiones para movilizar a la gente y pasar campañas o hacer cambios.
So the power to have connections with different organizations and to be able to pass changes with these campaigns.
Do you still use art?
Do you still use art? ¿Todavía usar arte?
Well, the arte, all the time you have to use it. It's part of our body that we have to use all the time. And plus the mujeres, they're doing canciones, and we have our own canción, our own music, songs. And so we're just gonna sing one day, you will see it.
Un poco también, por ejemplo, en las actividades que usamos es como teatro, un poco de teatro, por ejemplo, en los entrenamientos.
So one of the other examples that we have is that we use theater in many of our trainings.
Ya, dependiendo por ejemplo, ahorita la campaña a veces hacemos teatro, por ejemplo, cuando mucha de la gente es afectada por no tener una licencia de conducir. Entonces eso es lo que lo hacemos, un poco de actividad en teatro para que, ajá.
And the theater also helps in terms of being able to provide like sort of a, for example, she used the example that they use a theater to help describe and help figure out how to talk about what are the barriers and what is the need for a driver's license. There was a question over here.
Just wondering, so the women who go through various White House programs, do you find that they become, beside the actual campaigns that you are engaging in, are they at all engaging politically in electoral elections and other realms?
Yeah, a lot of women there involved. One of, sorry.
Yeah, Josefina, she's in Josefina es una mujer donde he estado ahorita, por ejemplo, ella es delegada de la comunidad, entonces es un ejemplo a seguir a ella, o sea, porque ella aprende, y a pesar de su depresión que tenía por lo de la nieve y todo esto, ella ha estado muy involucrada en el sistema político.
So we have one example of one of our most active members. She's actually, from the training that she's taken, she's taken many different types of steps, and one of those was to become a delegate for her community. And so that was one of the it was one of our many exciting examples. I think we have a couple more even of how women are getting engaged.
Another example, I don't know if you heard about the redistricting in Minneapolis. We was a group of people that we was working there hard and to keep as a group Latinos community in Ward 9. So now we have the numbers that we can, next year we can, maybe we can, how is it, launch of Latino members to be our represented. So hopefully that we can have in that way we can have one Latinos, at least one Latino in the local level with a city council member. So in that part we win, huh? You will see newspaper, La Prensa, and other newspapers. So that's part of our work that we make change. That's an example. Now I think we're ready to see the video.
And we'll take one question. Can I just ask about yeah. So then how do these women compare in terms of their activism and community engagement and political engagement with men in their community?
¿Cómo puede hacer una comparación con esas mujeres
con los hombres? The women wake up early and the men, they're sleeping right now. We have to move. We have to, because can you imagine a lot of women? They have a group over here. You will see a lot of group of women in different kind of group or workshop. But where is the men? I don't see. At least I see only like one or two group of men that they meeting in part of White House, Minneapolis area. So, but there is not a lot, and I don't see any group of men that they're making change in the legislation or have a campaign that they're pushing hard. So move, create more men.
That's a big thing we get asked a lot, is like, why don't we start a men's group now? And
yeah,
and we would love to, but this is our focus right now with the women, and if someone wants to give us, $100,000, we'll probably start a men's group too with that.
We started in a years ago a group of men because we was suggesting Francisco to to do it, and it didn't work because it was the budget, I think, but hopefully our husband, they want to be part of something, so maybe you're gonna see in the future. You never know.
There's a woman that raised her hand back here.
Yeah, what is the average age of the women that you usually work with?
You mean that the people who we train?
Yeah.
So it sounds 2008, 10 people every year. So we'll be the age between,
we have about
25 maybe.
Yeah, it's ranged from 19 to about 56 or so. With the average age, most women are probably in their early 30s.
There is a girl that is really more younger than me. Ana Vite.
Are there more questions?
Should we do the video?
Yeah, and then maybe the video is a lot. It's pretty entertaining. It's really sound.
Oh, I know what it is. It's my computer, so I was supposed to know this. There we go. Well, I think.
While we're waiting, any other questions? Yes.
I have a question about the experience of racism, you know, if you have to share, anything to share about that?
Maybe I have curious to know what you think about that.
You want me to know what I'm asking about? I mean, curious about what? I mean, there's racism. I'm also a minority person in Minnesota, and I experience it a lot. So I can imagine that you would be experiencing the same as people who are not white.
Yeah. So I think you asked the same the question that you was. I think we both on the same page.
So could you share some experiences?
But one of my experience when I came here in the USA was when I was working in a factory that actually I went to a temporary job and I was waiting I was like in a 4 a.m. there sitting in a chair, and then a lot of people came early. Actually, I feel like I came in the kind of be like the first person, and then other people came. Supposedly, they can once you come, like first come first serve, kind of be like that, and then you will see the difference. They was taking all the people that it's not for Latinos community or the Latinos people who was there, and that's I feel something that like that. I think there is a lot, but I think the important right now is to make change. I think the important right now is to be unified and see the issue and how we're gonna put the issue in the middle, and then we can make the change. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be sitting and say I'm in a minority, but I will say that we're intelligent and we can move and we can make change, and let's go.
Can you sing a song?
Sí, ahora sí me pasó, ahora sí me regaron porque pues no me sé de memoria mi canción. Like, vamos a cantar.
Bueno, apenas tenemos unas cuantas estrofas, todavía no la terminamos. Y algunas de las que empiezan así, dice: vengo desde un pueblito, cruzando varias fronteras. Y ya de ahí
Yo vengo desde un pueblito, cruzando varias fronteras, cruzando varias fronteras. Yo vengo desde un pueblito a hacer nuevos cambios aquí. Ahora sí me salió la cantante, ¿no?
So we are about, unfortunately, I guess our video didn't work. I am so sad, but
we'll put it up on the website.
we will put it up on the website so you guys can see it, and we hope you do take. I mean, we're all work within the program, and I think also carry different experiences. I think there's the women in this video, you know, who helped put it together, did an incredible job, and are able to tell a very powerful story. So we encourage you guys to take a look at that.
Can I do an announcement? There is the flyers here if you want to take it. There's May 1st that we're going to be marching in Minneapolis. In case you want to be there, you should find a group of people that they can go over there and march all together and show how we somos solidaridad with los trabajadores.
Before we wrap up, I just want to let people know that the last panel today is the Jewish Community Coalition for Action and their role in supporting Liberian, Somali, and Latino struggles. And that is taking place downstairs. It's an excellent way to end the conference. And it's down in Little Theater right now. And so if you want to go to that one, it'll be well worth your while. Oh, of course, thank you, I'm sorry. Duh. And of course tonight we're going to be hosting David Bacon, the photojournalist, talking on the topic, the political economy of criminalizing immigrants in America, and he'll be talking at the St. Cloud Public Library. That talk will be delivered in Spanish and translated into English and Somali. And so that doesn't happen very often in St. Cloud, of course. So I think it's going to be a really dynamic event. I suggest that you get there early because it looks like the events are filling up pretty rapidly, and we only have 150 seats. So be sure to get there on time if you want to be there present for the whole thing. But anyway, that's the St. Cloud Public Library tonight at 6 p.m. And right now, the last panel of the day is down in the Little Theater in Atwood, just downstairs. Thank you very much.